started. And I just want to say thank you all for attending. And thank you to Beth Root, who is joining us today from the World's Largest Swimming Lesson, to tell us a little bit about this year's event, and then also to share any information that you all are seeking in regards to hosting events, marketing events, you name it. Beth?
All righty. Well, I'm gonna, do I have the opportunity to share my screen
You
here?
should.
Oh. All righty.
Good.
So I really, again, appreciate the opportunity to be able to share some information with this group of engaged and influential people in this space. If you have been working in this universe for a while, you're probably familiar with the World's Largest Swimming Lesson. We initially launched in 2010. So this year's event will take place on June 26th, and I want to run through and give you a little bit of history and background. So this is our 16th year in this space. The first year we hosted this event, we had just under 4,000 people. And as we completed our 16th year last year, we had been able to serve more than 400,000 at about 5,900 different locations in 54 countries. So the other nice thing is when we track some of the service provided to the community, we've been able to provide about 206,000 hours of water safety training through the host locations and partners that we work with. One of the things that folks may not realize about this event is there's some kind of unexpected benefits by hosting, in addition to helping build awareness about the importance of teaching kids to swim. We also have found and have looked at a lot of different research that being purposely driven in terms of how you operate within your community is very beneficial. It can help you cultivate and grow public trust. It can help you attract and retain staff. Staff love participating and hosting this event. They feel very, very good about what they can contribute. And they feel very, very good because they have expertise in this. So being able to share their individual personal expertise within the community and give back is really meaningful to the generation of folks that are working in the water safety space right now. And for those same reasons, it helps increase engagement and morale. It's generally a feel good all the way across the board for folks on your team. And then in terms of customer loyalty, it generally also helps to increase customer loyalty along with that trust and just faith in what your organization does, what you stand for, and how they trust you to operate your business. So there's lots and lots of really cool research about it, but it's nice to be able to connect those things with this event. One of the things that Tina mentioned to me was kind of trying to showcase a little bit about who's participated in this event previously and partners that they've worked with. Last year, we had the city of Eatonville host this event, and city of Eatonville is very interesting because it is the oldest incorporated African-American city in the United States. And last year they opened their public pool, which had been closed for a very, very long time. So a fifth generation member of their community and one of the founders came forward and helped participate in this event. And they brought together a whole bunch of different folks, the Swim Alma Foundation, the city, YMCA hosts, the Swim Global Project, and everybody kind of brought their individual expertise to this event. They hosted 75 kids from Boys and Girls Club. So there were a lot of different pieces, parts that they brought together, one to help carry the load for hosting the event, but also so that everybody could benefit and then help build this nice press story. And I think this is a good example because we have people utilize the World's Largest Swimming Lesson. And one of the ways it works the best is when folks integrate it with something that they are also celebrating or doing or hosting in their community. So then we also have had, okay, why am I not advancing here? Okay, there we go, sorry. delayed. There we go. Boys and Girls Club has been a great partner for the World's Largest Swimming Lesson, and it's also a great resource for folks that are interested in hosting an event in their community. We have had numerous Boys and Girls Clubs and camps be hosted at locations. One of the ones that is just an incredible example of how this can potentially work is the Walt Disney water parks down in Orlando, Florida. Actually, Disney in general in Florida. They host an event at their water park where they last year brought in about 1,000 different kids from 7 different nonprofit organizations within the community to participate in this event. They made it a very big event because they were really focused on showcasing Disney giving back to the community. So they worked very hard on the press side, and they allowed the kids that came in to participate in this event early in the morning then stay and enjoy their parks and facilities throughout the rest of the day. But they also hosted it on Disney cruise ships. They hosted it at Disney resort properties for kids that were staying there, and they hosted it for some of their team and staff folks at some of their facilities. So they really approached it in a whole bunch of different ways. But a big part of the success for the consumer focused program was their engagement, particularly with Boys and Girls Club, who is one of the 7 groups that they worked with and by far the largest. So a few things, just a quick rundown in terms of tools that are available once you register and become part of our team, WLSL as we like to say. You will be connected to a portal, and through that portal, you get an immense number of resources. We have a whole host location guide, which is 30, I should know how many pages since we go over it every year, but 36 pages, I think, of different resources. It includes everything. It will give you your key event date and checklist. It will give you your digital marketing materials. It gives you templates for press advisories, media releases, the resources that you need in terms of supplies. It gives you signage, every little piece is part. It's basically an event in a box, so that even if you are not a special events expert, it's not something that you have resources regularly to do and you're trying to do it for the first time, you will able to be successful by following what's included in the guide. We also, obviously, a huge part of this program is focused on the PR benefit, right? We started this event 16 years ago by setting a Guinness World Record, with the huge focus being on the idea that we wanted to generate PR and media coming out of National Water Safety Month. We didn't want to let that, energy just die when we headed into June. So there's always been a strong PR focus about this program, and there are terrific tools to be able to implement that on a step-by-step basis. The lesson itself is 30 minutes, and we provide you a lesson plan, and we also give you plans that are broken out so that you can manage it with bigger groups. So you could manage, run through it with dry land stuff happening at one point and in the water stuff happening at one point, and we give you those different opportunities. One of the things that I think it's important to share is that folks can also participate in this World's Largest Swimming Lesson event and generate the media coverage by using existing swimming lessons that they have already taking place on that day. Thursday is a regular swimming lesson day for many rec centers, a lot of different facilities. You can absolutely use lessons throughout the day. You can track the number of people that participate in your lessons throughout the day, and then use those as your participants and still utilize the marketing and the media opportunities. This is just a sample of some of the digital materials we provide: posters, web banners, call outs, different graphics, and we've expanded a lot of that this year for folks. Social is a huge opportunity for World's Largest Swimming Lesson. This gives you just a little sneak peek at how some other folks have used it. They, again, build this community engagement and cultivate trust by talking about what they're doing, by talking about personal responsibility for water safety. I think that's another thing, that if you're an aquatic operator, And we certainly want to raise awareness about the importance of swimming lesson and drowning prevention, but we also provide a lot of very specific talking points that explain that you have a personal responsibility when it comes to water safety, as a parent, as a youth, and so on. And you can really move that messaging forward with social media. And it also, the photos are great. So much fun that can be demonstrated. Here's another example of some of the other materials for day of event. Everybody that participates gets these official Team WL certificates to give out to kids that join the event. We do yard signs. There are wristbands. We have a new ribbon this last year that people give out, and the kids and participants really get a kick out of it. We also have materials completely translated for Spanish and Portuguese. The website itself, considering the number of countries that we have about 20 to 26 different countries participating at any given year. So the website itself is all Google translatable. But we also have specific marketing designed materials in Spanish and Portuguese, which work very well in the US market as well as internationally. We have bunches of gear because people like merch. Our thing this year is life-saving looks legendary. So the t-shirts work really well, stickers, sunglasses, beach towels, we've got it all. And we do promotional incentive drawings for people that register. So if you just register for the event, you're entered to win some of this stuff. We work with different folks that are doing events in their market to help set them up so they can be well branded and make a statement. So it's fun stuff. All right, so sounds great, right? But who has time to take it on, and what do we need to know to figure out how to participate? I think what's really important is you need to decide what works for you, right? If you have very little time, but you still want the PR bump, leveraging lessons that you already have in place really works well. You can bring in as many partners as works for you. I think that's sometimes a balancing act. Sometimes bringing in too many partners means you have to spend a lot more time doing a lot of communication. If you have partners you work with really regularly, maybe you guys already kind of know the dance of how you work together and who has what strengths, and that's less work. But being able to cooperatively work on an event can really reduce the workload and then leverage it across the board. For registration, you just go to WLSL.org and it's very easy. There's a giant orange button that says register now. Once you're registered, you will get the host location guide, and it'll explain to you kind of how you outline your schedule and your staff plan for the day, give you all your pre-event and media outreach material, and the discussion about how you register folks for this event. A couple things that we've streamlined this year, if you've participated in the past or it's been a few years, our host location release form is now all digital. So your entire registration can be managed online in like 5 minutes. And the registration and waivers for folks that participate in your event, we've reduced the information required for folks signing their log sheet, so that timing should be much more streamlined and move much more quickly. And then we also have an individual release form now. So if you're working with a day camp, a Y camp, a Boys and Girls Club camp, you can send this individual release form home, weeks ahead of time for parents to sign and then send back, and then they're all good to go on the day of the event. The lesson takes 30 minutes, as I said. We need you to take some pictures, and then you send your stuff in to us, and you're done. It's all good to go. The timing this year, as I mentioned, is June 26th. That's a little different than we've done in the past. The third Thursday of June this year is Juneteenth. So we talked a little bit about hosting an event on that day, and there were certainly upsides, but also some additional time and energy that would need to be required to engage that day and make it the best opportunity for everybody. So we moved to June 26th. And what that is actually going to do for us this year is allow us to shift our media messaging. So traditionally, we have been coming right off of, National Water Safety Month, and we really have leaned into this idea of the first day of summer, because we know press are really looking for this first day of summer story. And this year, because we're in the fourth week of June, we have an opportunity to kind of lean into the 4th of July safety message. And what I think is really going to be helpful this year for people that are building stories and pitching this story to their local media is the fact that July is by far the highest risk month for drowning. 17% of drownings that take place in the United States happen in the month of July. So when you consider that, it really is it's impactful, it's important, and it's also something that we don't really talk about very much because we've spent so much time talking about National Water Safety Month and swim season and getting ready for the season in the beginning of summer, and we haven't identified the fact that once everybody's comfortable and they're not putting on as much sunscreen and maybe they're not really putting their life jacket on anymore and mom and dad are everybody's just kind of chill into summer, and then we see that risk go up. So it's not excited about the story to tell, but we are excited about the opportunity to tell a story and talk about some things that we haven't in the past, and hopefully we'll give some more energy to our drowning prevention message as we get into July. Registration is open through June 12th, so you don't have to decide right now to participate, but the sooner you get involved, we think the more success that you're going to have. It also allows you to be entered into more of those merch drawings that I mentioned, because we do quite a few of those throughout. Pricing for participation. An individual facility costs $99, 2 facilities $129, 3 $159, 4 or more. So if you are the city of Dallas, if you are the city of Los Angeles, you pay $189, and the city of Los Angeles will bring in 30, 40 different locations. So that's what that looks like, and that is within a metro or a state umbrella. We're pretty flexible. If you're partnering with somebody and you're the one coordinating all those facilities and locations, then yeah, we'll work with you. Again, you register at the WSL.org. You'll create an account. I say now you download and submit your host location release form. I didn't update this because now you don't have to download it. I'm sorry. And then you pay your registration fee. So it's pretty easy. So how do you make it work for you? I don't mean to kind of come back to this over and over again, but the best way for it to work is when it is connected to what's important for your organization, your community, your facility. Are you celebrating an anniversary? Do you have a great partnership with Safe Kids? Do you have a restaurant partnership with McDonald's? Who are the partners that you work with in your community that can all benefit from this? That's how it really works. Customer engagement, using this on social media, sending this out in your e-blast and talking with folks, all the regular sort of social media and engagement opportunities is what helps make this work. Partnership, it is an opportunity if you don't have a partnership already with somebody like a Safe Kids or your local children's hospital for you to reach out to folks and start that conversation. And then you can also partner on a national level. As I mentioned, Boys and Girls Clubs. Alan with Boys and Girls Clubs has offered to talk with folks who are interested and try to make connections and help move relationships forward in your community if that's something you're interested in. Obviously, the why. American Red Cross, there's just a million different, not a million, but there's many, many different partnership opportunities there. Use the program materials. They're powerful and they're pretty easy to use if you are willing to take the time to dig in. Definitely leverage the media side of it and make it fun, which is not hard to do when you have a young team of lifeguards and swim instructors. Speaking of that, one thing I didn't mention earlier, people have talked about resources for this event. If you have 100 people come into your facility, you don't have to have an instructor for every 10 of those kids in individual groups. You need to have an instructor who is a certified instructor in terms of a formal certified Learn to Swim program. But then you can work with your lifeguarding staff. You can work potentially with volunteers to help implement that lesson. So you don't have to staff up if you don't regularly do a whole bunch of swim lessons and have a whole staff of WSIs that are ready to teach. There are ways to work around that. You really only need one individual who's sort of leading this lesson as long as they're properly supported. So just a quick recap, the top 10 reasons we really want you to participate in this lesson. It's a perfect way to introduce aquatic safety, water competency, and swimming skills to your community. It's just a nice way to step in, dip your toe in the pool, to if you haven't been in this space of trying to publicly build awareness about it. Employees, parents, kids, everybody just has a really good time participating in the event. They feel great about it. It's just a real terrific feel good. It's super positive messaging in a community. So often we are trying to balance the risk of drowning, children losing their lives, the very sad part of this story, with the upside of how beneficial learn to swim is, and trying to overcome that news story that we have all heard, I just didn't know. The WSL gives you a really positive message to be able to talk about that without just talking about the downside of it. Outstanding reach and support. I think you'll find if you haven't participated before and you join this team, there will be people in your community, there will be people obviously nationally that are happy to engage with you and super excited to support in this event. Timing and relevancy. Again, this idea that we're peak drowning risk happens in July, we think will be really beneficial to this year's media story, but it's obviously just an important thing to get out in your community. It's really flexible and can be customized in a whole bunch of different ways. These tools are outlined so that you can make it work for you. If you want to do CPR training with your local fire department, you can do that. If you want to partner with the Ronald McDonald Club and do some sort of giveaway there, you can do that. If you want to celebrate your anniversary, work with the Rotary. There's a million different ways to be able to implement the program based on what works for you. I've said this a few times, media, it's a really good media and social media story. Oops, I'm jumping ahead, sorry. There's a lot of strength in the fact that we're all doing this on one day. So this unified one voice with one message all around the world is very powerful. And again, it's another reason that people feel really good and excited about participating. Obviously, swimming lessons save lives. I'm sure many people on this call are like, that statistic, it's kind of old and the research was, we still lean into it a little bit because the goal is really to try to get folks into formal swimming lessons. And the fact of the matter is, still research says that people just don't know how to swim. They don't know how to swim. They haven't, whether it's the American Red Cross or the CDC's new research, we just don't have enough people that have these skills. They can't perform these basic water competency skills, and we really want to get this message out. And number 10, it builds courage, confidence, lifelong opportunities. It's a rite of passage to a happy, healthy adulthood. And one other thing I would add here is one of the things that the World's Largest Swimming Lesson helps accomplish is to help folks overcome fear. And it can be generational fear. It can be fear that comes from being in a family where the parent doesn't know how to swim, so therefore they never take their kids around the water. We've had stories about where parents have actually taken their first swimming lesson because they didn't have to commit to swimming lessons. It wasn't super special. It was just this one fun day that they were going to go do something with their kids, and it's a promotion, or it got them free access to a water park facility for the day, or even discounted. We have a lot of water parks that will do events where, the kid gets a free ticket. So then they're leveraging and building the number of people that are coming into the park, and the parent is like, it's a discount. They go, and then the adult takes the lesson. And for kids that participate, that have come from a family in particular of a fear-based concern around water, being able to have kids in the water for 30 minutes, we're obviously not going to teach anybody to swim in 30 minutes, right? That's never, ever been the goal. But what we have seen that we can accomplish in 30 minutes is explain what these key competency skills are, and we can help people overcome fear. We can help people understand that if they're in an aquatic situation and they get scared, they don't have to panic right away. They have a second to look around. They have a second to take a breath. And just that in and of itself, being able to overcome fear, is a huge, huge accomplishment and a huge benefit for many of the people that participate. So come join the team. We would love to have you. And I can come back to this, but we'll share contact information later. I'm going to go back to this slide because it's more fun. But anyway.
Thanks, Beth. So we had a question earlier in the chat with regards to the curriculum and what types of things are included in the curriculum that you all provide if they're not utilizing their own and utilizing their own lesson structure.
We will run through the curriculum, and I don't know that I can make it big enough to show everybody, but basically the beginning, the dry land side of it talks about key water safety elements. There's discussion about sun safety. There's discussion about life jacket wearing. There's discussion about asking a parent before you enter the water. Then when we get into the water, and again, different age groups provide instruction in the way that makes sense, right? If you've got kids that are from 2 to 5 in one group, and then you've got another group over here that's 10 to 12 or 10 to 14, the people that are working with those kids are going to talk with them as is appropriate for that group. We have folks enter the water. We talk about how you enter the water. We talk about what to do if you see somebody in trouble in terms of reaching and throwing and not going. We talk about floating on your back and methods to float on your back. They're obviously getting your face wet and bobbing and kicking, and then just really gently moving into what an actual crawl stroke looks like. So we have folks that are swimming underwater, and it's really an introduction to those basic competency skills wrapped in water safety information and knowledge. Does that answer the question?
Bernadette, did that answer your question?
Yeah. I can try to pull the curriculum up if that would be helpful. And oh, now I should not share until
So basically the water the world's largest swimming class starts with basically a water safety lesson.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's good. We next year we'll do this, but this year we did world's largest water safety on dry land. We call it dry land. And we just decided to make it world's, obviously. Anyway, I really like this, but I'm interested in your curriculum as well, and I'm interested in still doing this other event, but I don't know, I'm a little burnt out already, but I like your ideas. Thank you. I really like your ideas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I would just add in that my name is Megan Ferraro from the ZAC Foundation, and we run what are called ZAC camps at clubs all around the US. And we've oftentimes had camps running during the week of World's Largest Swimming Lesson, and we'll enroll those Boys and Girls Club sites so that, the water safety lessons that they're already taking that day can be counted toward the work that Beth and her team are doing. So if you already have programming running that week, they make it pretty, I felt like, easy to integrate both programs so that you can participate in what's being done, use it as a part of your media story, and enhance the programming being offered to the kids that you're working with that week. So that's something to consider as well. It doesn't have to be like a whole, or at least in my experience, like we were able to wrap it into the camp we were already running pretty seamlessly.
Yeah, but it needs to be that
That's
week.
good to hear.
It's in that week. Okay.
It actually has to be that day.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
That Thursday, yep.
Okay.
And I'll add, one of the things that we used to do with our programs too, is we use this event as a leveraging opportunity for additional signups, right? So it's an opportunity to offer discounted lessons. It's an opportunity to get folks into lessons towards the end of the summer, right? Everybody wants lessons at the beginning, and then they start to fade out a little bit as they go off on their vacations in July. And so it's another way to get people invited into the space again and help and utilize the media to help leverage that opportunity to get them re-registered. And then also, it's also a great opportunity, if you're working out of, let's say, a rec center that offers things besides just learn to swim, right? Besides aquatics, it's still a place where you can offer information on the other services that you provide. So it really has a well-rounded opportunity in front of it that you can leverage for your community.
There's two things I would add to what Tina just said. One is we have in the swim school or aquatic rec center space where people are offering lessons, we will have folks offer the world's sort of swimming lesson kind of as the trial or tryout lesson. So people, or the evaluation, a lot of facilities will say, okay, you need to be evaluated so we know where to place you within our curriculum structure. And so they will utilize this as they're already doing that anyway, maybe once a month or so on, or they will create an opportunity to do that and then make World's Largest Swimming Lesson that opportunity. And then with regard to kind of making it a bigger event, we definitely have had space, particularly in the public service area. If it's a city or county organization, definitely have partnered with their local fire department, their local police department, whatever services that they're providing, health and safety or kids services, but also kids programming, to Tina's point. You know, if you are trying to build awareness about fall opportunities for after school programming and those kinds of things, it's a great way to do that.
Beth, can you remind us of the registration deadline?
It is June 12th.
Thank you.
So there, I mentioned the merchandise giveaways. The first one is this Friday, the 18th, but then there will be 4 more. I want to say May 2nd, May 6th. I just sent an email about this and I should know, but I don't remember. June 6th is the last one. But the sooner you register, the more giveaways that you're entered into for that merchandise, if that's an incentive.
And for those that haven't pulled it up in the chat, there's basic information on the curriculum in the chat now too. Other questions for Beth? Megan?
I just wanted to add, and this is something that Tina and I and the rest of the steering committee for the National Action Plan have been working on, is a way to really highlight everything that's happening in the United States around water safety and drowning prevention for materials in July for World Drowning Prevention Day on July 25th. And so one of the ideas we had was for individuals like you all or organizations that you represent to be captured in footage of really interesting things and unique things that they're doing for drowning prevention and for water safety in the United States. So certainly events on World's Largest Swimming Lesson Day would be a great representation of some of the grassroots activity that's happening in the United States. So in a few weeks, we'll be sharing with you all some additional information about how we'll plan to capture that information and pull it together for the World Health Organization to share out later in July. So I just wanted to add that there will be another opportunity for your work to be featured, and this could be a really nice way to be included in that.
Other questions or thoughts? Has anyone on the call been involved with World's Largest Swimming Lesson in the past? I see some nods.
It's a great opportunity, easy peasy. I guess I appreciate what Bernadette said earlier about getting burned out. You know, I think it's easy to do sometimes in this space anyway. And I think obviously once you've been through May and got everything launched in June, sometimes you just feel like you've only got so much bandwidth left. So I would encourage folks, if it feels like this is just too much, really, again, just participating with something that you already have going on. And you don't have to make it a huge event. You can do it for yourself. You can do it for your own social media, or just for an opportunity to capture a bunch of footage and terrific photos of kids having a great time. So just start, even if you don't feel like you can make it a huge event. You only need to be counted technically as a host location. You only need 5 participants, like 4 students and an instructor. So it's the bar is not very high, and we don't have an expectation of you have to generate this much media, or you have to do this in terms of using social media or sending email alerts out or all those kinds of things. You can really do it at your own pace, and we would just love to have more people take a taste and get initially engaged, because we think then you'll kind of want to do more. But we just like to have you get started.
You know, I started late. How many times have you all done this?
Our first was in 2010, so this is the 16th year. And we actually historically have set 8 Guinness World Records, 5 individual Guinness records, and then 3 multi-location records. No, 5 multi-locations, 3 individual. But we stopped doing that quite a while ago because it was more work to set the Guinness record than it was to do the main focus of our work, which was trying to spread these important messages and to make sure that the resources that we were providing were most helpful to individual communities. But been around for a while.
Beth, as far as engagement, having done this for so many years now, what kind of best practices have you seen within different communities in connecting with the entirety of the community, right? So when we look at equity and inclusion and making sure people have access, right, and that we're reaching those populations to participate that we really need to participate in this space, have you seen any best practices on connecting with those communities?
Best practices seems like a very formal descriptor, and I don't know that I feel completely prepared, even though you gave me this question earlier to prepare for. But I do feel like Boys and Girls Clubs is a terrific resource, and I think every time we've seen a community that engages with Boys and Girls Club, the metrics coming out of it feel like they meet a best practices threshold. I think that certainly partnering makes a huge difference. I feel like every community has its own unique opportunities, and sometimes they can be hard to find, but I think you can ask a few questions and usually they are there. It's not as hard to find as you might think. So I think engaging with other community partners is really helpful. And then I also think having authentic conversations with the folks that have participated and with your staff that are working in that space, when there are, and a lot of them can even happen via social media kinds of video. But when you talk to folks about why they're there, what they're hoping to gain from being at this event, and then some of that information is shared back out, I think that is a very positive best practice, because I think true word of mouth and kind of a testimonial in terms of an individual person's story that can get shared within your community is really helpful. I spoke earlier about, parents that have overcome their fear or were afraid before they came to the lesson. And every time I see one of those stories, or we have that kind of testimonial or sort of an interview engagement, whether it's traditional media or on social media, or whether I've been talking to somebody at an event taking place, they're really powerful and impactful stories to share. And I think that makes a really big difference. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah, no, thank you. In your response, you mentioned metrics. What kinds of metrics are you capturing, or do you have folks capture on the day of the event?
we generally try to make it as easy as possible for folks to submit their information. So we don't ask them specifically to send metrics. We do ask them to send us a log sheet of the number of people that have participated. And there is a witness form that they send so that somebody confirms that what's on their log sheet or the release forms they send in actually adds up. and then we have photos. We don't ask people to send in their social media metrics. We do ask people to share their media coverage. Generally, one of the metrics we track regularly is impressions. It's been interesting to see how that's evolved from when we first started. We had newspaper clippings. Like, I don't know who else tracks newspaper clippings anymore, but that's where we started. And now obviously we spend a lot of time tracking social media and television coverage, video coverage. So we're always very encouraged when we see communities that have high numbers, and just in terms of impressions. We've been thrilled that we've generated, well, we actually honestly don't have any idea anymore, because we don't have enough money to effectively track those things. But we know we're well into the 3.5, probably 4 billion, and that's just within the US. So impressions is another metric that we look for, but we don't ask our facilities to track that themselves.
Thank you. Any other questions for Beth?
I was going to try to show you guys a video highlight reel of it, but I don't have faith that Zoom will handle it. So I stepped back from that.
Do you have a link that you could throw into the chat, perhaps, if it's online?
I do.
Because then I can capture it. I could share it back out with everybody after too.
Yes, I should have thought of that sooner. Just a second, and I will pull that for you.
While Beth is working on that, Megan, you said something about, I'm sorry, I'm taking notes, I'm thinking, so I didn't quite catch it. Are you saying that you'd like information about other things other than that? Did you say that? Or I just thought you said it?
No, I think I did say it.
Oh,
So I just was thinking as Beth was sharing that Tina and I and the rest of the steering committee have been brainstorming how to highlight all of the amazing water safety and drowning prevention work that happens throughout the United States, compiling it and sharing it with the World Health Organization so that the work that's happening in the United States can be shared on a global platform. It came to mind that, wow, capturing these world's largest swimming lesson day activities would be a really great way to feature what's happening, one of the many amazing activities happening in the United States with the World Health Organization, because I do think it's a program that could be scalable on a global level. I know I'm saying that, Beth, you're probably cringing. You're like, no, no, we don't need, this happening in, all these different countries, and that's creating so much more work for you potentially. But
oh no, we host in 54 countries every year. We have at least 26.
So yeah, so maybe the world's largest swimming lesson is featured in the World Health Organization already through your work in other countries, but it would certainly be great to get some recognition for the work that you're doing in that big promotional video that they do every year on World Drowning Prevention Day. So to the extent that you're participating in this and you're thinking about how to leverage participating in this for other opportunities, Beth ran through a lot of great suggestions for it and the top 10 reasons why you should do it. But others include promotional videos, and it includes like sharing with your board what you're doing to give back to your community, how you're adding more programming to your facilities. And I think there's lots of ways to reuse this interesting program throughout the course of the year. So it was just a thought I had. And Tina and I are working on pulling together a platform for all of those stories, pictures, images to be kind of dumped into so that we can piece it all together and share it with the WHO.
well, that's great, because that's something that we do all year. I'm doing a program at Harvard on Friday, water safety class for international students. And we're going to talk about water safety in their countries, what they can do. And I just did a water safety class last Saturday at a library. So that's a part of our goal. We don't have a pool, but we rent pool space and do swim classes for new swimmers. But we'll definitely be sending you some information and showing you what we do. We have lots of pictures, a website, and we're constantly trying to figure out how to eliminate drowning.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts? Awesome. Well, this has been recorded, as I said earlier, so I will capture the recording, and then by the end of the day, Friday, I will make sure that I send it out to all of you specifically, so you have the link to the recording, and then also I'll capture some summary notes from our conversations today, and I'll include the links to registration and the links to the highlight reel that Beth just threw into the chat as well, and so that you'll have that at your fingertips also. So you can expect that in your inbox by the end of the week. And yeah, this has been a great conversation. And I certainly hope that you all are able to participate in this event. And we, as Megan was talking about, the collection of information and sharing of content for over the course of the summer, not just specific to World's Largest Swimming Lesson, but any of the events that you have throughout the summer months, including May, that we'll be sharing that information on how to provide that to us in our newsletter coming up next month. So, all right. Thank you all very much for participating.
Thank you.
And have a great day.
Thanks for the opportunity, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Beth. Sorry, we had a little visitor during the meeting, but
I had a feeling.
we're running and I'll talk
Sure.
later.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.